This is part 3 on the bet offer on educational effectiveness. An organization came up with, after considerable study and investment, tried to come up with something with an exam that could be given at different schools experimentally to see what effect college has on critical thinking, that is, analytic thinking about a subject, complex reasoning, and effective writing. Now, without going into detail, these are the things that employers that they surveyed, serious employers, said they wanted in employees. And so they tried to come up with writing assignments, standardized kind of writing assignments, reasoning assignments, having to do with real world things that could come up if one were employed. Something that would come up in business life or problems facing the company. And so this had nothing to do directly with the content of courses. And it's called the CLA test. But I can't, for the moment, find out. Oh! What CLA stands for. Collegiate Learning Assessment. I followed this a couple of years ago when it was first being implemented. So what they did is they took freshmen coming in to a number of select schools, maybe 19, and they gave them this as they entered school. Then, late in their 4th semester, they were given an alternate form of the same test, or perhaps the same form. And the idea was, how much had these students learned that would make them more effective writers in the context of real-world problems, more effective critical thinkers, that is, taking a problem and not accepting right offhand the most obvious answer. And the third was complex reasoning. So they gave some examples of the kinds of things. And, you know, these are tasks where some people would do better than others. In this case, they're giving it to the same people twice. And what they found is that there was, well, I don't want to express this technically, but it was something like, in 2 years, the mean increased by less than 1/5 of a standard deviation. That is, almost half of the people showed either no gain, a loss, or a gain so small that it's what statisticians would say could have occurred by chance. But on average, there was a gain. So it's a real thing. So 2 years of college, people improved, but by a tiny amount. And in general, the people whose majors were science, math, improved the most. So I was interested. I looked at this about, found it on Google about 3 years ago, and it occurred to me that this was the first time in the 300 years since the founding of the College of William and Mary that anybody tried to systematically see if college provided any benefits other than credentials. Yeah, if you get a degree and you have to have a degree for a job, well, then you get it. But you could buy that. Or you could, if possible, you could plant records if you were a computer whiz. Or if you could hire a computer whiz, plant records showing that you got that degree. So you wouldn't have to go. Well, why would students go when they could criminally obtain something that would serve as a credential? I'm not saying it's that easy. I don't have any idea. But what they found in this book is that basically 25% of students who go to college require at least one remedial course. That there's very little studying that goes on. But there is basically a thriving social life. And that students go to get their credential, so they'll have a job, and then to have some fun. And that their findings were that parents, that's what parents want. They want, they say it better than I would. So, I'm going to read this to you. It's from Aram's book called Academically Adrift. This is current. I got it on Amazon immediately when it got off the press. Okay. Limited learning in U.S. higher education is not a crisis. That is, colleges are not very effective, but it's not a crisis. Because parents, although they're pissed off at the increased cost, want colleges to provide a safe environment where their children can mature, gain independence, and attain credentials that will help them be successful as adults. So they found that there was very little studying going on. 5-6 hours a week outside of class. Administrators have been asked to focus largely on external institutional ranks. I mean, they want to be at the top of U.S. News and World Report's ratings. And the financial bottom line. Government funding agencies are primarily interested in the development of new scientific knowledge. In short, the system works. Everybody gets what they want. Parents, if students finish, most students don't finish. But if the students finish, the parents are satisfied. The kids If they know how to have a good time, have a good time. Now, there's some people who are conscientious, hardworking, and really ambitious. And their eye is on the goal. And they work hard. And so these people go into, today, largely the parasitic occupations. Finance, law, government administrators, which in most cases are parasites. Now, they say in elementary and secondary schools, there is a crisis of moral authority. And anybody who's ever been in a school knows basically that the teachers would like to kill the students, and they would be justified in doing so. But then, the rules permit them to do only certain things. So I think we can say, if you take my bet, you will be getting, let's say 8th grade class where you're going to have to maintain order. And I believe that's what pisses off teachers more than anything else. It's not that the teachers know how to teach. Teaching something and understanding it, these are two different things. To teach something effectively, you have to know what's going through the students' minds. When I was teaching college political science, introductory government politics, psychology, counseling, psychology of well-being, introductory macro and micro economics, I gave thousands of oral exams as well as complex written exams, with oral exams providing me with some clue as to the gaps in people's thinking. And why would I do that? Because I wanted to be the best. I mean, I wanted to kick ass. I wanted my students to be the best. And I gave myself credit for that. And I really didn't care about whether somebody else gave me credit, although I did get this stuff published. One of the things that teachers don't do is they don't necessarily have an intuitive grasp of their subjects. Why would you have to have a textbook? I mean, if you know the subject, then you know, you have an intuitive model that you're communicating, and you can respond. Somebody asks a question. You ought to be able to respond in less than 3 seconds. I mean, not finish it, but ought to be able to call up the right answer and fill the gap. That's what it's about. In macroeconomics, that was perfect. Okay, we're going on to the bet, part 4? Part 4.